going to be talking about night crawlers. Okay, not the ones though on the Amazon. No.
That's quite scary as well.
Quite scary. Okay.
All right. So it is a pleasure to be here. I love to tell all these stories about the times I spent at the mountaintop working on the Dark Energy Survey. That's the project I've worked on so far. So I'm kind of new to the whole LSST project. This is the first meeting actually of the LSST that I participate. And typically I do that for free for my friends, and then this time I actually am getting free beer to do it. So premium version. Yeah. So I want to. Okay. So I think a good way to set, I think, the stage for this is to ask you guys to imagine that you are a young, aspiring student in physics or astrophysics and trying to figure out what path you're going to take, and you have the whole world and great questions ahead of you, and you can pick. You go, take your classes, etc., and then you are starting to decide what research topic you're going to do for your thesis and so on. You are presented with two options. One option is to work on something, for instance, like dark matter or a particle physics experiment. That's all great, exciting, and mysterious type of dark matter and so on. And happens to be in a great experiment that happens on the ground. Then on the other side, somebody tells you, oh no, there's this other problem. It's also dark, but it's dark energy instead. And it's also a great mystery. We don't know how it works, etc. And on top of that, you actually get to go to the top of a mountain in Chile to do your research. Yeah, I think you're getting the point, right? So you think, on the ground, mountain, on the ground, mountain. And you think, Chile or Canada, right? Freezing cold, I'm Brazilian, so I have to say, freezing cold or Pacific Ocean, ceviche, pisco sour, etc. So yeah, so that's where I went, right? So I picked this topic, and I end up working on the Dark Energy Survey. And of course, nobody told me that actually there was a lot of work involved in actually getting there, right? So classes, qualifying, PhD, etc., years go by and so on. I finally find myself on the way to Chile, my first trip, right? So we had worked for, at that time I had been working on the project for 2 years already, and I was at Fermi lab, the lab I worked, we were building the camera and doing lots of tests and so on. So finally we pack everything and I go to Chile for 3 months. That is a period that we are going to unpack everything. It was kind of nice because it was like, I went there in November, so it was pretty much over the Christmas time, so I think it was like an extended Christmas. Every day a new box would arrive, you unpack, etc., figure it out what's going on, and so on. And I remember, I'll never forget, the first night when I got there at the mountaintop, and it is like a kind of isolated place. So you fly to Santiago, then from Santiago you take a little airplane to La Serena, 1 hour away, and it's a beautiful beach town, etc. Then you get a car and go 2 hours inland and upwards, right, towards the mountain. Half of this trip is going to be dirt road, going up, 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 okay. So you drive up there and it's kind of isolated. There are dorms, there's telescopes, and so the view is breathtaking. It's beautiful, amazing. The food is awesome and so on, but it's also a little bit isolated. So at night you're there at the dorms, and you imagine like a campfire type of story. And I think most of you have had this experience of being in a trip somewhere in the woods and so on, and you start telling ghost stories, right? Trying to scare away your little brother or little sister. Yeah, I was the little sister in that story, right? But I was trying to keep my cool and say, okay, no, fine, I'm from Brazil. I mean, I'm not going to be scared about like tarantulas. Tarantulas the size of my hand? No problem. It'll be all fine, fine. But obviously, I went to sleep with the lights on that night. Who knows, right? Very safe and sorry. And, okay, I have to make a note here. So I am blind like a bat. So without lenses, I cannot see any of you guys here or anything. So I wake up, no lenses, etc., like, whoa, etc., crawling out of bed, literally. And I look and like, oh, that's much. over there was not there last night. All I can see is this smudge on the floor, right? That thing was not there last night. And I'm like, okay. Cockroach, be a cockroach, be a cockroach, right? Not trying to imagine anything else that it could be. So, all right, finally I get like enough strength to actually get out of bed, put my contact in, etc. Right? Just like put the contact in and right? And so this is, okay, it's a little bit embarrassing to say that, but I really freaked out, right? So I'm like, oh God, I did not sign up for this, right? I did not sign up for scorpions in my room. This is not happening, right? So I run outside, etc. Ah, no, scorpions in my room, and so on. And those guys are like, okay, half laughing and half also a little bit concerned because they're sleeping in the room next door, right? They know that they never come alone, this type of animals. So they're like, no, no problem, etc. So call someone to go there, remove the offending animal. They actually gave me in a glass so that I could like keep it as a trophy or something. And okay, fine. So daylight comes and you're always like more, I don't know, courageous and stronger when it's daylight. It's like, okay, no problem, and so on. New team of people arrive, and you're telling the story, they say like, oh yeah, the scorpion, no problem, and so on, right? Next day, arrive again, and actually I even thought about like changing to another room or something, right? But okay, I didn't want to be the girl that asked to change the room. So next night, and that was like a terrible day in the sense that you were working long hours, and you know those days where things are not working and your code is, yeah, exactly, it's one of those days. And you arrive back in the room, and all you want is a shower and go to bed, right? And you walk inside the room, etc., and you're like, that smudge, oh my God, that smudge was not there before, right? Okay, so you know how these stories go. But okay, so after some point, I felt like, okay, I think I got this figured out. Every night I put my shoes up on the chair. I make sure I close all my luggage, everything, and never ever get out of bed without looking around and sleep with my contacts on. So that's the idea, and it was working quite well. Until one day I wake up, and that day I had no chance. So okay, I'll simulate here. So then I'm there sleeping, etc. I open my eyes. The first thing I see is a tarantula, like the size of my hand, right above my head, right? And with my contacts on, I could see every detail. I was like, oh, so crawl out of bed, etc. And my first thought was to run, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, this thing is moving. It will crawl inside whatever, my bag or something, and I will never find it again. So I got to the phone, and I called the guys in the management of the dorms and so on, and I tried to explain to them in my broken Spanish that there is a tarantula and so on, and that I need help. And they do send a guy to help, and a guy comes in, and you notice that like half smile, corner of the mouth, like, do you have I heard you have a tarantula problem. Where is it? And I'm like, oh, come in. And he's like, come in, etc. And I'm like, look up. He looks up and turns pale. It's like, it will be okay, it will be okay. I'm like, yeah, tell that to yourself. It's fine. I will wait outside and tell me when it's done. Yeah, so those are some of the adventures I had, and I had to grow up a little bit to actually be able to face all of that. But I have to say that, okay, it was a lot more, the experience of being up there at the mountaintop was a lot more than that. I learned a lot, I grew up a lot as a scientist, and as also, I think, as a person, in the sense of like actually understanding not only, I think that being fascinated about the scientific question and the problem is something that I think I had since I was a kid, and that part is really something that is easy for most of us, I think, to be passionate about, right? But the actual adventurous part of the challenge of going up there and literally not knowing what you're going to face and being in a new culture, a new country, well, night crawlers, life forms that you have to face, face your fears, and be able to overcome that to actually make a great experience and a great experiment. It's something that I did not expect it would be part of my experience at the time, and I like to share this story because I think it's motivating and bringing a different perspective of it. So thank you.